Hey guys, so today we're going to go ahead and start on with a lesson 7.2 that has to do with operations with linear functions. This one has to do a lot with solving equations. In a sense, you're going to be using function rules basically and using addition, subtraction, and multiplication to kind of put them together. And so you'll need to know how to distribute and you'll need to know how to solve an equation basically. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. So lesson 7.2. Alright, so we are on page 219 of your textbook. Okay, and so we are dealing with operations with linear functions as I mentioned. And our essential question states, how can you use operations with linear functions to model real-world situations? Okay, so the first thing is we are going to be talking about adding and subtracting linear functions, and it says you can add and subtract linear functions just as you would add and subtract two linear expressions. When adding and subtracting functions, be sure to use different letter to name each function. So, for example, h of x equals f of x plus g of x. So what that's saying is that if you're going to take two different functions and put them together, you want to rename it as something new. Okay? So over here, we're going to go ahead and start. I'm going to zoom you guys in a little bit more now. So it says, given the linear functions f of x equals 2x plus 9 and g of x equals 6x minus 1, you want to find the new function. So notice here the new function is h of x, and we want to find f of x plus g of x. So this is pretty simple. All you're going to do is substitute 2x plus 9 into f of x and substitute 6x minus 1 into g of x. Okay? Now here, you want to go ahead and when you're adding, you want to put your like terms together. So you want to put your x's together. So notice they brought this x over and they switched out this 9 and brought it over here. So 2x plus 6x is 8x, and 9 minus 1 gives you 8. And that's your answer. That's it. There's nothing else you need to do. Okay? When you are doing a subtraction, okay, and when you're doing a subtraction, you want to distribute this subtraction sign first. That's really going to help you out a lot more, because here this is going to change your answer if you don't distribute it. Okay, so this is like having a negative 1, and so you have negative 1 times 6x gives you negative 6x, and then negative 1 times negative 1 gives you a positive 1. Now that you've gotten this, now you can go ahead and rewrite this. So you can put 2x minus 6x, okay, and then 9 plus 1. So 2 minus 6 gives you negative 4, and 9 plus 1 gives you 10. Okay, and again, notice that they renamed it. So h of x was when you added, and j of x was when you subtracted. Okay, that's all you're really doing. Now let's go ahead and let's go into this the critical thinking question. So it says, James thinks that f of x minus g of x and g of x minus f of x are equal when f of x equals 3x plus 6 and g of x equals 5x plus 2. So they want to know if he's correct, and so it's asking you to explain. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to solve that together. Okay, so if we have f of x, we know that f of x is equal to 3x plus 6, and g of x is equal to 5x plus 2. Okay, sorry, the camera's focusing here. Give it a second. It's taking its time right now. I don't know why it's taking forever. Sorry, guys. Okay, let's see if it will focus in a second. So we want to know f of x plus g of x. Sorry, no, minus. So we want to know f of x minus g of x, but we also want to know g of x minus f of x. So we want to see if these are going to be the same. So I'm going to just kind of separate this into two separate sections here. Okay, and so now we want f of x, so we have 3x plus 6, and then minus 5x plus 2. So since we're subtracting, I need to distribute this minus sign, and I'm going to do 3x plus 6 because that's not going to change. And then so I have negative times 5x gives me a negative 5x, and a negative times a positive 2 gives me a negative 2. Okay, so I want to go ahead and combine my like terms. So I have 3x minus 5x, and then I have this plus 6 minus 2. So those here will give me a negative 2x, and these here will give me a positive 4. Okay, so now my h of x is negative 2x plus 4, because remember, I'm renaming it. So now let's go ahead and do a j of x, and now we're going to write it but flipped. Okay, so now we're going to start with our g of x, and so I have 5x plus 2. Sorry.
Mr. Rodriguez, please report to elementary. Your right is waiting. Mr. Rodriguez, please report to elementary. Your right is waiting.
Sorry, guys. So I'm going to go ahead now and do the exact same thing by distributing that minus sign. And so this one over here stays the same. I'm going to distribute my minus sign, so I have negative 3x and then minus 6. I want to put my like terms together. And so I have 5x minus 3x. And then I have a plus 2 minus 6. So these here will give me a positive 2x. And these here will give me a negative 4. So my j of x was positive 2x minus 4. Okay, so notice that they are not the same. Okay, so this is negative and that's positive, while this is positive and this is negative. So you do not get the same exact answer. Okay, so that's what you're going to want to go ahead and write in as your answer for your reflect question. Alright, so I want you guys to go ahead and do the your turn question on your own. So go ahead and push pause while you guys are, working this out. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and give you the answer to that. So once you have pushed play and done it on your own, then you should have gotten h of x equals 2x plus 6, and j of x equals 4x plus 2. Okay, so if you need help on how to answer that, or maybe you got a different answer, please let your teacher know, and that way they can help you with it. Alright, so flip on over to page 220. So now we're going to be talking about multiplying linear constant functions. Okay, so we're going to be doing the same exact thing, only this time with multiplication. Okay, so it says given the linear function f of x equals 4 and g of x is negative 3x plus 2, find the linear function h of x. So you want f of x times g of x. So same thing, substitute it. So if your f of x is 4 and your g of x is negative 3x plus 2, because that's what is given to us over here, you're going to go ahead and just distribute that. Okay, so you have 4 times negative 3 gives you negative 12x, and then 4 times positive 2 gives you 8. And again, that's all you're doing there. Okay, so moving on into your critical thinking question, it says that Enrique knows that f of x is a constant function and that g of x equals 5x plus 6. So if f of x times g of x equals 0, it wants you to determine f of x. Okay, so if it equals 0 when you multiply, then what do you think f of x is if your g of x is 5x plus 6? So basically, what number times f of x plus 6 will give you a product of 0? The only number would be that f of x had to equal to 0. Okay? So now I want you guys to do question number 4. It says to explain the error. So Kelly thinks that the product of f of x equals 6 and g of x equals 4x plus 8 is 24x plus 8. Is she correct? And if not, explain her error. Well, first of all, if you're multiplying them, because it's asking you the product of it, you have f of x times g of x. But if that's the case, your f of x was 6 and your g of x is 4x plus 8. When you distribute that, you should be getting plus 48. And so what she forgot to do was distribute that 6 to the 8. Okay, so that's her error. So I want you guys to do these your turn questions. All you're doing is multiplying. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I'll do the first one for you. So you have 7 times 4x minus 2. Okay, 7 times 4x gives you 28x. So we have h of x, because that's our new one. Okay, because that's what it's asking for here. So 7 times 4x gives us 28x. And 7 times negative 2 gives you negative 14. Okay, so I want you guys to do these last two on your own. And if you have any questions, please, please, please ask me. Don't forget about this fraction. Okay, don't just skip it because it's a fraction. All right, so moving on to adding linear models. Okay, so here it says that Harriet rides from her house to her job using Friendly Taxi Company, who charges $5 plus $1.35 per mile. After work, Harriet uses the Great Taxi Company to go home. They charge $2 plus $1.85 per mile. Find the total amount that Harriet spent on cab rides as a function of x and the distance in miles between her house and her job. So your very first one is when she's on her way to work. It said $5 plus $1.35 per mile. So 5 plus 1.35x, and that's your first function, so f of x. And then your second function was that Great Taxi cab ride on her way back home. And so they charged $2 plus $1.85 a mile, and so that's that. And now here it says to find the total amount that she spends. So total amount is telling you that you're adding, and so that's all you're going to do here is add f of x plus g of x. Okay, so again, you're going to put your x's together, put your constants together, and that's how you get 3.2x plus 7. So it says that the cost of Harriet's rides can be represented by t of x equals 3.2x plus 7. So this t can very easily represent total. Okay, so remember, as long as you're just renaming it, doesn't matter what variable you assign it. Okay, so it says to describe the change to t of x if Harriet used Friendly Taxi to travel to and from her job. Okay, so you want to use it, you want to try to figure that out if she's using only Friendly Taxi to and from her job. Okay, so once you solve that, you should see that your new total would equal 10 plus 2.7x. Okay, because at that point, if you're only using Friendly Taxi, then you're doing f of x equals 5 plus 1.35x. And so you're adding it 2 times. Okay, so it would be 5 plus 5 gives you the 10, and 1.35 plus 1.35 gives you that 2.7. Okay, now I want you guys to try this your turn question on your own. Go ahead and push pause. And when you guys finish it, go ahead and then you can push play, and I will give you the answer. So your f of t should equal 9 plus 3t. All right, so that's your answer for that. Flip over to 222, and again, you're doing the exact same thing now, but multiplying. So the only difference here is that you're given real-world situations. So here it's talking about a phone company that's charging 5 cents per minute per calls, and then tax is added to that charge, which is 8%. Okay, so here it says to write f of t, the amount charged by the phone company before taxes for the service, and t minutes of calls. So they charge $20 plus that 5 cents, so 20 plus the 5 cents. And then over here it says write g of t, the tax rate applied to phone companies, and so that tax rate is the 8%. Okay, that's not changing by anything. It's not 8% per minute. It's not changing by anything, so there's no variable attached to it. So it's just that 8%. And remember that these percentages are being turned into decimals. That's the only way you can calculate them. Okay, so now here it's asking you to find the product. Okay, so notice it says product, and so you're just going to be multiplying. So your f of x times your 0.8, and there you go. You just go ahead and distribute. Okay, and then that's how you go ahead and get that answer. All right, so I want you guys then now to do this reflect question. So it says to interpret the number 1.6 in the simplified form of h of t in example number 4. Okay, so h of t, what does this 1.6 represent? Okay, so I want you guys to stop, think about this, and see what you think that represents. Okay, so this 1.6 represents the tax charged the tax charge on the initial $20. Okay, so you're paying that 1.6 charged on the $20, charged on the initial $20. So regardless of how many minutes you use. So regardless of how many used. Okay, so that would be your answer there. And now over here, I want you guys to do this one again on your own. And when you finish it, you should get C of x equals 1.75. And then 8 plus x. And then once you solve that, you should get 14 plus 1.75x. Okay? So now that we have completed all of that, you guys will be doing the guided practice. Okay? I will go ahead and fill in a couple of these blanks for you, just so that you guys can have a better understanding of what you're doing here, and then you guys will do the rest on your own. So I'm going to do number 1 for you. And so here you're adding f of x plus g of x. So they already have your f of x. So this is going to be your g of x. Okay? And then now all you're doing is putting your like terms together. So it's 3 of x plus negative 2x. And then your 9 plus your 5. So 3x plus negative 2x gives you just 1x. And then 9 plus 5 gives you 14. And so that is your final answer there. All right, so again, as usual, I hope you guys have a good understanding of this lesson. Any questions you have, please let me or your math teacher know, and we will be more than happy to help you guys out. Thank you and have an amazing day.